Hey team, I had a couple questions this week about squatting form and feeling it in your knees versus your glutes. So I want to make a quick video about that just to talk about ways that we can preferentially activate your glutes a little bit more than your quads. So anytime we do a squat, we're always going to be activating both. The knees are going to extend, the hips are going to extend. That's just what's going to happen if you're going to do a squat, and we can't certainly eliminate either one of those, but if we want to preferentially activate more, we can probably do that. So let's talk about that a little bit. So if I do a squat here, if the first thing that moves is my knees, it's probably going to be a quad dominant movement. If the first thing that moves is my hips, it's probably going to be more a glute dominant movement. So for me, my primary goal is to have more glute activation. So I'm going to make sure that whenever I do any sort of squatting motion, I'm going to make sure my hips move first. So if I'm here, hips come back, that's going to make it more of a quad movement. So just to check my form, as I come down, my hips come back, my knees don't really move until I have to get further down. As I come down here, my head is still forward. That keeps the arch in my back. That protects my lumbar spine to make sure I'm not overusing my back. I'm using more of my glutes. And I'm protecting my knees to make sure my knees aren't going too far in front of my toes. So if I'm here, I come back. Sure, my knees do go forward, but I can still see my toes a little bit. They're not way forward here. Sorry, you can't really see my feet. So that's the biggest thing with what muscles you're going to activate more. Glutes or quads? Which moves first? This is going to be a quad dominant glute. This is going to be a quad dominant squat. This is going to be more of a glute dominant squat. The other thing we want to do with your knees is make sure that they are not coming in this way. So for those of you who were in Utah a few years ago, we actually talked about hip angle, and we found your angle of version, which is either anterior version or retroversion, meaning how your hips actually sit in the socket to determine how much you need to toe out. Can you see me? Okay, so I cannot squat parallel this way. If my feet are forward and I come down, the way that my hips are shaped and the way they sit in the socket, that's anatomical, that I can't change. My knees are going to go forward, and that's not good. That puts quite a bit of stress on all the ligaments in the knees. So if my knees are forward, I squat, they come down. You might even be able to see the left one comes even a little bit more just because my hips have a little bit different shape in the socket. So we talked about finding your toe out angle and then making sure as you come down, the knees come out over the toes. So that is also going to make sure that you're not feeling too much stress on your knees. So stress on the knees could be either you're doing the squat in a quad dominant way, that your knees are moving first. You could also be having your knees kind of what we call valgus. They kind of come in a little bit. That's pretty stressful to your knees, so that you could be feeling some discomfort with that. So if you're not sure, please take a video, send it to me, post it, however you want to do that. And we'll take a look and see what's going on. So to take pressure off your knees, hips move first, and also make sure you're starting at the correct level of abduction or feet out, then also rotating the toes out. So for me, a toe out of about 1:30 on my right side, and actually a little bit more on the left, about 2 o'clock, or be on this side, be about 10. That works best for me, for my hips, so that when I come down, my hips don't hurt. So some people who have hips shaped a little bit differently, their feet aren't going to be able to be straight forward because the knees are going to collapse. A lot of stress on the knees doesn't feel very good. So experiment with how wide your feet are when you start and how much you need to toe out, and don't assume that that toe out is going to be the same on each side, because for me it's actually very different. I need to toe out a lot more on my left side than I do on my right side. So it kind of looks like that. So if this was straightforward, my right side is here, my left side is there. It's quite a bit different, but that's really the only way that's comfortable for me. So for you in Utah, we actually looked at this for you. We tried to find a best estimate of what your toe out would be. Other than an x-ray, there's probably not a real great way to do that, but you can just experiment. So try different positions and really just tune into what you feel and see what feels best. and just stick with that. So if you have any more questions, let me know. If you want to send a video, that'd be great. Post it on Facebook here or send it to me and we'll take a look and just see if we can tweak that a little bit so you're getting that activation where you want it to. All right, have a good Wednesday.